now.
The beat is
and
messing
I'll
me
tell you
up.
the other day. I listened to the world is yours. And I'm like, this ain't talking like this. So whoever you think is the best, they not making the world is yours. They're not making if I rule the world. They're not making juicy. They're not making warning. They're not making sky's the limit. They're not doing it. They're not making can't not the hustle. They're not making the evil. They're not making pop. They're not making it. No disrespect. I'm a rapper.
Because
I'm not making it.
These buying my style, I hope they got dental plans. So get it straight from the source and cut out the middleman. Get that pure dough. Get that pure dough. Go get it straight from the source and cut out the middleman. Get that pure dough.
It's me, Handsome, back with another episode of Verse for Verse. I got Big U in the building. James Rich couldn't make it, but we have a special guest today. You know, somebody that I grew up under, you know. I'm like a little brother to him. You feel me? He's seen me since I was younger. We got the eclectic MC in the building. You know what I'm saying?
He has many names.
As Reverend Darryl Moore.
Many names.
So let's start off by, you know, letting the people know who you are, what you do, what you've done, you know. Just give them a little introduction.
All right, my name is, well, y'all know already. But
Yes, sir.
My name is Darryl. Various forms of D, right? D love, D smooth, D like whatever. Revved up, cause
Okay.
I am I'm here, right? I'm a minister who loves rap. I mean, I'm not here because I'm a minister. Actually, I don't like go everywhere like with like telling people, yo, I'm a minister.
Okay.
But
That would be hilarious.
like people be like, word? Not like that. But, I knew there was something different about you. That's what I get.
So if you can, you know, because I don't know how you ended up being a minister. Like, where did it start? Like, that you found this love for Christ.
All right, so I'll give you like the short story, right? So two short stories put together. So like I went to like one church, and then my family stopped going to church for a minute.
How old was you when you went to this one church?
So like from birth up until
Okay, got
like,
you.
I was like in the second grade. I went to church.
Got you.
Grandmother passed away. We kind of like stopped going to that church. But then I would like go to my boy like Shamar. I like do like youth group stuff, but I was never going to church, right?
Got you.
I'd rather watch cartoons, stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then a few things happened, right? So one day my mom woke up like, yo, let's go to church. I'm like, I don't want to go to church. She's like, cool. So the next week she came, she was like, you got to go to church. I was like, I thought you said I got to go to church. She said you made a wrong choice. So for like, she had to go to church for like 2 years. I'm like going to church, but I'm not going to church. I'm just going, dapping up one of my boys at the church, asking him what the sermon is about so I don't get in trouble, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then 1 year I ended up on the choir. There was this girl on the choir. And basically like wherever the choir went, I went. Because she was there, my peoples were there.
Got you.
But while that was happening, I'm hearing the message and getting the word and stuff like that. And then I had a kid when I was a teenager. And like some churches, they like have bad reputation. You have a kid, especially as a child, as a teenager, they like embarrass you and all that kind of stuff. My church was like, they collapsed on me in love. Like, oh, you have a kid? This your kid is our kid. We all raising this kid. We're gonna help you. And so like the way that they love me and like help me, then that helped me like kind of like transfer like my mom's faith to my faith. And then I think like one youth group, I was reading the story, and basically the story is in Genesis with Joseph. I know I'm long-winded, right?
Nah, listen, this, and, we need to hear all of this.
So I'm reading the story in Genesis, and so like Joseph gets like thrown into slavery, and he gets out of jail, and he's working for the governor's wife. The governor's away, and then the governor's wife. This is the way I'm reading it. This is not the way it reads, right? This is the way I'm. So the governor's wife, like every day she's trying to get at the dude, and he's like, nah, because like he's been good to me, like chill. And then like on the scripture says like that she took his he ran away and she had his tunic in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then the governor came in and was like, what are you trying to do to my wife? And so I said to my youth pastor, like, hold up for a second. So she tried to get him to hit it, because that was the word back in the day. Like, she tried to get him to hit it, and then when he wouldn't, she lied on him and said that he tried to rape her and then threw him in jail. And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, wow, like, stuff like that is still happening, right? So then I started, like, realizing that book spoke to what I now call the human experience, right? But, you know, so I think that's, like, the short of, like, how I became a Christian. And then from there, I just kind of realized that, like, I like to study it. I have a passion for it. And I think I kind of have, like a inner, like a burning to be able to communicate it to people who speak whatever it is, the language or the culture that I speak and that I'm in, right?
Right.
That makes sense. So,
Okay.
that's a big.
Yeah, nah, like I never knew the story. You know, I don't know if you've heard that story before.
Not so
Not that
eloquently put together, but
Because
yeah,
you live pieces
bits and
of it.
pieces, bits and pieces of it, yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, so this is it's funny to me. You know, obviously the name of the show is Verse for Verse. You know what I mean? And to me, I feel like obviously the Bible verses came before rap verses. You know what I'm saying? Like when I think about it. So if you can give us a few of your favorite verses from the Bible.
So there's one that says, be not weary in well doing, for in due time you'll reap if you faint not, right? Like I like that, right? Because sometimes you feel like you do all of this good stuff and life is hard, but it's like, just hold on, right?
Life be lifing.
Yeah. And then Romans 8:28 says, all things work for the good of those who love Christ Jesus and are called according to his purpose. But like if you read it in the Greek and like understand Greek syntax, it actually could be like, God works in all things for the good of those who love God and called according to his purpose. Because, you know, like you said, life be lifing. And so it just kind of like gives a hope that, you know, because life lives, you know, like we can still make it through. And then nothing can separate us from the love of God.
Yeah, so I was talking to a couple of my my religious friends, you know what I mean? I got a couple of them. And they had asked me some questions. It was like, because I told them, I'm like, yeah, I got, you know, this dope dude, Reverend, coming on the show, you know what I'm saying? And they started asking me questions that I'm like, I don't even, you know, I don't think about certain things too much. So like when it comes to religion for me, I believe in God, you know what I mean? I'm not even sure if I've ever been baptized or what, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I am. I feel like I have. I'm a Christian somehow, some way. But like the Bible has always been like the dopest story to me, you know what I mean? Because as you said, it feels like it's real life. Like everything that has, like all of the stories that I've heard that are in the Bible, because I haven't read it. I'm not going to say and act like I have, but when I hear certain stories, I'm like, you know, this dude stabbed his brother in the back or this, and like, it's just real life things that happen to people every day. You know what I mean? So for me, it's always been like, yeah, like I want to read it. So you got to tell me which Bible I should buy, because I hear there's all different ones.
Yeah. I'll get you a Bible. We'll talk.
Okay, cool.
You know,
He's the Bible plug.
Dude, like in my house,
The
I
Bible plug.
have like more Bibles in my house than some small churches. That's crazy.
What?
Yeah. And some of them are unused. And I mean, you know, everybody has what you're interested in, right? You probably have multiple microphones or something like that in your crib. Right?
I got a lot of
Something.
Yeah, I got some stuff. I got some things. I got some stuff in there. I got some things. So, being that you are a hip hop head, I would say, you know what I mean. Let us know one of your favorite hip hop verses.
So it's crazy because I've been thinking about that all afternoon, right? And so I feel like I want to say, like, so I love like I Left My Wallet in El Segundo, the song,
okay,
right? It's a cool story. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the song, right? It's not like super lyrical, but that album is the first album that I paid for with my own money when I was a young man, right?
Okay.
So, you know, I was in junior high school. So that means something to me, right? AZ's verse on Nas' first
That's a
album,
huge
Visualize the
verse.
Realism.
That verse right there.
Dude, it's like such, it to me it might be one of the best verses on the album. And so that's why, you know, when your man said that Am killed you on your own, I'm like, don't be throwing them stones in your glass house. 'Cause I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like,
Nah. He's on record as getting bodied on his own song.
and so, but I think that I would say like one of those two. If I could throw it out there, maybe
what
not
about
one of.
LITC Pimp?
Oh, listen. And there it is.
I wasn't gonna go into that. I wasn't gonna go into the LITC archives. You know,
man.
So obviously, like, you know, we do a lot of just hip hop, R&B, and I'm like, I can't miss the opportunity to do a gospel record with you. I was saying that, you know, I wanted to do a gospel joint to have my moms on the show, because I don't know if you've seen any of the comments sometimes on Instagram. People are mean, you know what I mean? So I'm like, they can't be mean if I do a gospel record with my moms, man.
Yeah. They're going to be mean on this one.
I told him. I tried
not
to
with
prepare
your
him.
moms.
I tried to prepare him.
I'll let you know.
Try to prepare them. When you talking religion, people have a certain feeling that they have, and they going, you know, it's polarizing.
So, and obviously, I gotta ask some questions. Just, I guess, for me, you know, like miracles and blessings. Those are two separate things. Are they? Well, let me ask you: are they two separate things?
So I think I would say that all miracles are blessings, but not every blessing is a miracle.
I like that. I like that. I like that.
Put it on a T-shirt. Probably did already. Did you?
Yeah, man. I'm just thinking, because it's so many things that I do want to talk about, but I'm not sure. Like, I don't because I'm not into the, like, so deep into the religion. I want to make sure I'm saying the right things about it.
Can I?
This is your show.
Yes.
Can I ask? So I don't know if this is a question or a statement or whatever, but I want you to kind of speak to, because when I look at how you deliver religion or the word or whatever it is, I've seen you do it for years and years and years, to all different kinds of people from different walks of life, different ages of people, different, you know, whatever. And you're always able to make a connection with people and deliver your message. And I've never seen, well, I guess there's always going to be somebody that's going to say, oh, he did it like this or whatever. But for the most part, I see that it's received well by all different kinds of people. How is it that you're able to do that?
Ooh, that's a say the Christian, the churchy way of say God, maybe. Nah, I think that so I think as much work that I need to put into like trying to like understand and work with the text, right? Like we call it exegeting, kind of like working with the text. We have to do the same thing with the congregation and with the audience, right? Because it's like we were talking about interviews off camera, right? Like on a real not a real interview, but like you're gonna get like the background of the person and kind of see what they like with battle rap, right? Like the kind of battle rap now, you got to do your research before you come
get
to
your
the
personals.
Yeah, so
get your personals together.
So like especially if it's an engagement, like I'm preaching at a church or something like that, I'm gonna try to see, what's the culture of the neighborhood, what's going on in the church, how do the people feel, what's the oldest person do, what's the socioeconomic level, like all of those things I try to think about when I'm trying to wrap the message, because it's the same story and the same message, just it's a different way that I kind of, if that makes sense.
I wrote down actually a couple questions. I said, let me just go into these. So, what?
Wait.
First.
And then to try not to be whack, right? Because that's the...
Can't be whack. Can't be whack.
You always got to be an MC at the heart of what you do. You're an MC, yeah.
You was about to say something, sir?
I probably was, but I'm old, so I don't remember.
Yeah. All right, so what prayer have you been praying for the longest, if there is one?
Wow. So I would say that I never get lazy, right? Because I have the ability to get lazy.
We all
So
do.
I
I'm about to
just
say
like-
that's
like
probably
cover
the
myself.
please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Like stay hungry, you know.
Yeah, that's. I feel like that's like that's something they tell you like in everything you do, right? If you're an NBA player, if you're a rapper, whatever it is that you actually do, it's like don't ever get lazy. You know what I mean? And I mean, for you, is it a never get lazy because I just I want to make sure I'm putting my all into it, because some of these things is like don't get lazy because somebody might come take your spot type of thing. You know what I mean?
So I think that's part of it. But like, and it's so funny because preachers, like, in a room full of preachers,
Is
we
it
might
like
have
battle
a
rap?
conversation. But no,
Battle
but like,
preaching.
like there's some things, right? So like right now I'm doing this thing, a pulpit supply. Like I might be in like 8 weeks, I might be in like 6 different churches, right? I could preach the same sermon 8 times, right? Especially if the church doesn't have any like recording mechanisms or anything like that.
Right.
That's lazy,
Mm.
right?
Gotcha.
Well, I shouldn't say that because if somebody does that, I'm not saying that they're lazy.
Yeah.
But for me,
Cat Williams say they lazy.
I'm about to say, because
yeah.
I mean, to me that sounds like comedians, right? They
Or
they put,
rappers or
Yeah.
they
nah,
put together,
artists. Yeah.
But I mean, and I say comedians in the sense of like they work hard to put together an hour worth of content to perform it, and it's like I gotta put on an hour performance in all of these different places with something different jokes. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think that they do different jokes. It's like, say for instance, if I'm on a tour and I'm doing an 8-city tour, in those 8 cities, I don't think I'm doing different jokes on all 8 of those cities. But if I go do an 8-city tour and then I go out again within that year or something, I should not. Well, not the non-lazy people saying when you go out again, it should be different jokes. Because on that 8-city tour, you're going to tell your jokes, and then from the first city to the 8th city, I might tell the joke where I got out the car, the tire was flat, I slipped and fell down, and then by the 8th city, I've crafted that joke into something that's
yeah.
Is that
it's
how-
kind of like reworking, contextualizing, right? Because I was in a place where, I can tell 2 stories, one about a comedian and one about a sermon. So we brought this comedian into a church service we actually had for young people. Dude, the guy got up to tell his joke. It was like a corny joke. It was like what noise does a cow make? Moo. What noise does a sheep make? Bow. What noise does a chicken make? Right? And then the punchline was like, hey, or something like supposed to be like a chicken head, right? So, but by the time he got there, like 20 of the teenagers finished his joke, right? Bro,
Got you.
one, I'm not paying you for these teenagers. I could put the teenagers up there,
Right.
right? 2, he felt the heat, right? So I don't know. To me, I just don't want that,
Yeah.
And then I was in a space once where the preacher preached verbatim, like without changing. But some traditions do that, right? It's just the church tradition that I'm in. There's expected to be a little bit of a change, right? Not a verbatim, because it's a talk back, right? So I'm get up, you're gonna say amen. I'm gonna tell you, look at your neighbor. I'm gonna quote,
I seen you float rap lyrics. I seen you, whatever went on early in the day, you mixing that in there somehow. You did my wedding. Somebody dropped a glass. I seen you throw that in there. I've seen you improvise well. Is that something that you stand on, like that you can come off the top of your head well, so that makes your sermons, you get it all together, or is it just?
So I want to say that's like it's the tradition, right? That's the tradition of the tradition of an African American preacher. Like, so we think that like the way that we believe that the Spirit of God moves is like the greatest improviser, right? And there's improvisation in everything that we do as a people. So jazz is the music that we created here in America. There's improvisation in there, right? There's improv in there. There's improv in our preaching. There's improv in our living. And so it's just kind of, like even that is kind of like it speaks to the people, right? Like you can relate to somebody that can improv. Yeah, you ad lib on your song, right? Your ad lib live might not be the same like we did on the album, right?
I performed with him and watched him do it.
Yeah, right. And so then somebody will be like, "Yo, this is fire." And so what happens is sometimes when people hear you live, that's like more fire to them than when they get it on the album, right?
Yeah.
I've definitely been
So,
to shows where I've watched singers do stuff, and I'm like, damn, I wish I could hear him do this on the album, but he's freestyling right now. He's improvising with the crowd, and they making the beat for him, and he's singing to it. Like, so I definitely feel what you're saying about that. Do you have any like spiritual heroes that you look up to?
Oh yeah, definitely. So it's funny because like my heroes, right? Like my grandmother, who I didn't even have like a lot of time on. Like she died when I was young. My mom's, right? Because she has faith like no other. And the pastor who licensed me, right? The Bishop Rice. And then there's some preachers, like you would check a preacher like Howard John Wesley, Otis Moss III. Like there's some preachers that like these dudes they preaching like I be like
You gonna
wow,
get a word. You gonna get a word.
Yeah. And so and I'll say this: there's a guy. His name is Frank Thomas, Dr. Frank A. Thomas. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say this. So it's funny. It might be controversial. Not. It's gonna be. So.
Anything that the Rev is about to say is not good.
It's funny. Like it's not gonna be controversial at all for your audience. It might even be like too like who cared, like too preachy. But here's the deal. So the like call and response African American preaching tradition, because of the way that like some black people are, we don't write stuff down, right? Because we're like into oral tradition. So what's happened is some of the older guys have been dying, and then at the same time that's been happening, there have been some, we'll just say non-African American preachers that have been stealing the style and then using it and writing about it as if it was theirs from their culture. Wow. So the man says, I'm gonna stop preaching. I'm gonna go further into the academy. He started a PhD program so he could get all of like the I guess the highest level preachers to get PhDs in preaching within the tradition, so that they could write books about preaching in the tradition, so that they could teach at colleges about preaching in the tradition, so that the tradition lives on. That doesn't mean that that's the only way that it lives on.
Yeah, right.
But that way it gets done in the academy so that people know that it's ours, right? Because we see the same thing what happened with music, right? Like people like think that rock and roll is not up. So that dude, my hero. Like when I meet him and you read his books, he's like you talk about me and Jay-Z, like he got like 3 chapters in this like textbook about how Jay does a masterful job at looking at what's going on in his neighborhood, putting it in music, and then putting it back out so that people who didn't live that experience can understand the experience. Like, so I don't know.
You know, Mr. Rich, who isn't here, he always says, I never read a Bible, just listen to Jay-Z. You know what I mean? That was like his thing. You know what I mean? Speaking of that, is there a book that had a bigger impact, a big impact on you besides the Bible? Another book. What's one of your books?
Toni Morrison, Blue Aside. Do that. At one time, Ralph Ellison, Invisible Man. I was reading that like every year. Like, I must have read like 4 or 5 times in my life. Souls of Black Folk, the boys. But I read a lot. Yeah. And so I going to say those. I probably could name some more, but right now, like things that like really, I like The Bluest Eye. Yeah, I think that Toni Morrison is like masterful.
I rock with Toni Morrison. I haven't read that. I think I gotta read that. What about you, Seth? What's some big impactful books of yours?
My books are probably more like self-help oriented, like the Tipping Point and like Money Master the Game, things of that have helped me as I'm getting older and trying to figure out what I need to be doing to try to put myself in position to be what it is I'm expected to be. Because, you know, as a man with a family, you are expected to provide a certain something. And if you don't have the direction on your own, then you should go out and find people that have done what it is you're trying to do and get some input from them. So those are a couple of books that have really helped me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So one more question, then we're gonna get into today's song. What is like a hard learned lesson from your life?
I learned a lesson from my life.
Want me to give it to you?
Known
them for years.
So many.
Give me mine.
If you want to give us a few, you can, you know, start talking about them. If you want to give us just one, then, you know, choose that.
So it's interesting. This is one that I don't talk about a lot. So we have mad jokes, like my crew of friends. Dude, we were like don't make fun of us if you feel like you're like,
if you can't take a joke,
don't throw stones.
You can't take a joke.
Right.
And then I was always the person that would take it a little too far, right? You know, kind of like you don't
Just
really,
a little.
like you don't make fun of somebody that has a weight issue. Like there's like an unspoken rule, like back against the wall. I'm gonna talk about the thing that would cut you, right?
He has no lines.
It's crazy.
So,
Habitual line stepper.
So I've learned, you know, I kind of like, I still have some friendships with some people that I know that when I was like joking that I hurt them. You know what I'm saying? And some of those hurts you could never take away, but when people kind of like they can like see past it and forgive you, then it show. Then I learned like when to forgive myself and to kind of be more gentle and stuff like that. So that.
Okay. And, you know, funny you talk about forgiveness. I was talking to a friend of mine before I got here, and she had asked me, what do I, like, she asked me some things about the Bible. I'm like, I don't really know it verbatim. And she was like, how many times should you forgive a person? Right? And I'm like, I'm like, you know, the life I'm living these days, I'm like, you know, I'm gonna always be forgiven, you know what I mean? Like, that's who I am. But then I'm thinking about, like, you know, the guy that from back then, it's like, if somebody hurt my daughter, then I forgave them, they hurt my son, and I forgive them, they hurt my mother. It's like, damn, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? But she ends up telling me, I guess, in the Bible, it says something like 70 times 7 times or something like that.
But it's not like 149 times.
Right.
It's just like,
it's
like Beyonce saying 50-11, right?
Right.
It's just saying like, an abundant amount of time.
Right. I mean, because I'm saying, I'm like, the math on that's 490 times. I don't think somebody's going to do something to me 490 times, right? The way I'm going to be able to forgive them.
But even if you think about that too, you can continually forgive people for their transgressions, but you don't have to allow them to be in a position to so somebody could do some foul shit to me, maybe multiple times they might do, but then every time you do something, I got to remove you and put you in a place so that the foul shit you're doing cannot affect my circle or the people that I care about. So you can continually forgive people. Like, you don't got to never stop forgiving, I don't think. But just, you know, don't allow that person access.
Well, because I think, like, the truth about forgiveness is a lot of times it helps you more than it helps the person.
Ike was talking about that. Like, when you let it go, you're relieving
you're free,
yourself of the weight. So you're not sitting there like, and you could go on and do whatever it is you need to do and not hold that weight. Yeah.
So I also was asked what was my favorite Bible verse. I'm like, you know, I'm not really deep into it, but I remembered something. I don't know how you remember all of these things. You study it, obviously, I guess. So, but I told him it was something about no fear and love, and then she said it's John 4:18. There's no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's a good.
It's a good one.
That's a good. I mean, I think they. I'm not gonna say I think they're all good.
He's about to body your
But I'm not
Bible,
gonna say I
body
think
your
that's
what she
Bible
said,
verse.
too.
with
Right now,
this
the
verse.
Christians like, wait a minute. He said they don't think they're all good. So let me just say this before
That's
we.
literally
Before,
her. I said,
Body
I
your
said, how you
Bible
like
verse.
that? She said, I don't know that there's a way to not like a Bible verse.
so I say this right. I love that verse. I also think that we, people who are Christians that adhere to the Bible, we need to like tell the truth about the tensions in the Bible, right? Like, so there are some things. There's some things that are like despicable narratives in the Bible, right? Very violent, very hard to understand, and like those things. I think that God is big enough that I could say, you know what, man, I'm not really feeling the way that this story went. Although there's there might be a greater lesson. It's still something that, to me, doesn't move my heart and make my heart burn like the one that you just read, right? Like I might need to learn, because sometimes you learn because you're pushed on the bike and you don't fall. Sometimes you fall on the bike. Either way, it teaches you how to ride the bike, but they're both not like a good experience. I'd rather learn how to ride the bike
And
without
not fall.
falling. Yeah.
Okay.
You ain't asked me about my favorite Bible verse.
I didn't know you had
You don't
one.
think I read the Bible?
You know what I mean? If
One-
you got...
The Bible verse you said Genesis. What was the one with the one you spoke about, the book of Genesis? The guy with the
With Joseph?
yeah. So that's the story in the Quran. That's the story of Yusuf, who I am,
Yes.
the most handsome prince. Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
the same, and I love that story.
fire.
And both, yeah, that's my shit too. Yeah, that's my shit.
And like I said, this is, I would say, I guess, my ignorance. So Yusuf was in the Bible.
Yusuf is Joseph in Arabic. So in the Quran, that's the story is a little bit. It's not exactly the same story, but it's pretty much the same thing happened. Yeah.
Okay. And right. But one more. I got, you know what I mean? This is the one that
I'm here.
This is the one.
So how do you feel about religion dividing people, even though it brings some people together? But how do you feel about all of the religions being something that feels like it makes a division between the people that we should all kind of be together?
So I might think differently on this than some people, right? I don't think that religion in itself unifies or divides, right? Because I think that although, like, anybody's religion, they would say that their God is sentient, right, or sentient, but the actual religion is system structure, right? I think that people can either use religion to unify or use religion to divide people, right? And I think that that's kind of the nature of the way that people approach almost everything, right? So for example, I know people that are like, I could never be a Christian because of all these bad things that some Christians do, right? And then of course, like, I have conversations about, like, why I think that is, why do you think that? Kind of, we'll go like deeper into it. But at the end of the day, like, for like African Americans, we've seen our people dragged by cars. We've seen our people fire hoses.
Sick with dogs,
sick with dogs, right? But we still drive cars to get to and fro. If your house is on fire, you still want the fire hose to turn off, right? Because we realize that people were misusing those things against your people, right? And so when I look at the misuse of religion, right, I'm like, I recognize the misuses. But often I think that I'm going to say that some people that misuse religion, they're just habitual misusers, right? They're gonna, if they're not misusing religion, they're gonna misuse something else.
No, I was gonna say it's almost like drinking and stuff, where they say it allows you to be your true self or whatever, for real. Like if they say, oh, alcohol make you angry, or alcohol make you happy, or alcohol make you whatever, it just enhances
it. And then some people that hurt, right? And I think that's the other thing. Like, they say hurt people. And one of the places that a lot of hurt people end up is in places where religion is fostered,
of course,
because they're trying to find hope. And so what happens is if the healing doesn't come immediately, right? So you get like a moment of feeling like you're healing, and then they go out and then they hurt somebody else, or they continue the pattern or whatever. And then people were like, oh, I thought you're supposed to be different because you was in that church. You should be, but it doesn't always work like that, because we have to do, like, we got to bring stuff to the table, right? It's a partnership. And so.
And I mean, and you know, because I bring it up obviously because like I got some Muslim friends, I got some Christian friends, and it's just like, how easy is it to get along with other people's religions? Like if they, because I feel like everybody's always trying to convert you. Like if, you know what I mean? It's like, you should be one of us, you know what I mean? And like, nah, you should be one of us, because them, that's not the true story. This is the real story of the beginning of time. And you know what I mean? Like, is it easy to talk to them, or I guess each person is different, obviously.
So, well, I think that some faiths have like proselytizing built in, right? So like Christianity, definitely Islam, you know, like, and Islam and the offshoots, right? So we're going to talk about the Hebrew Israelites.
Right.
We're going to talk about the nation, right? Like they're built in offshoots of Christianity, Jehovah's Witness, you know, Latter-day Saints, like it's built in. You don't never see like a Buddhist like trying to make you Buddhist, right? So some religions don't even have that built in.
Right.
But I think that that some of that like can we get along? Like there are certain things that are definitely very different, like total opposites in like say the Quran and the Bible, right? And the Protestant Bible, right? Because it's different Bibles, right? And so, but like there are some people, again, because their personality, they might like be forward with it, or they're like, for like me, you be around me all the time. Usually, like if somebody want to have a conversation, I'm like, yo, you sure you want to have this conversation? Because, you know, I'm gonna like if we're gonna have a real conversation, right? Like you're not gonna be like, oh, like the story of Jesus is stolen from Egypt. No, that's not the case, bro. Right? Like I can understand, like that's what you want to believe, but we want to look and see what it is. Just believe what you want to believe, because. Like I got the hands right.
He's gonna start battle preaching. Battle preaching formation.
I'm saying, you think?
Battle preach formation.
So listen. So listen. So I
Cannon.
I'm just saying, like, I think that, wow, I don't want to waste up all the time before we get to the song. So I
no
say
waste,
this.
no time is wasted.
None.
I say this. So there's an error, and I guess I'll talk. I'm preach, right? We never talk. There's an error in Christianity, right, that teaches that the primary reason why people should have a relationship with Jesus is so that we can get to this other world, right? That's a misunderstanding, right? That's a very small part of it, right? And even that part was so, like, when they came to the States in the 1800s, 1700s, they needed to be able to tell it that way so that they could work our people to the ground and say, oh, we can beat and kill their bodies because they're going to be separated from the body. Their soul is going to be. So like those kind of things where I'm just like, nah. So you have an issue with the religion because somebody did, but that's not the reality of the situation, right? And so I guess that I have nothing to do with the division. Yeah, I think everybody, sometimes people want to be right. And and I could understand, like if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you, like, I think you should be a Christian. Yeah. Do I think that my Christianity says in the Bible that Jesus says there are sheep in my pasture, and there's some sheep that I'm gonna bring in. So if when I get to that eternal part, and I get in there and everybody that's not a Christian is there, I'm not going to be upset or surprised because the scripture says that there's other ones that he's going to bring in that I don't know about. But I feel that my call in life is to tell people about my understanding of the message that's in this particular book.
Gotcha.
If that,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm saying that makes.
what's up?
You know, I mean, I kind of feel like, you know, that's I've heard it. I've heard that, you know what I mean, from other Christians, because I've, you know, like I said, I got some my children's godfather. He's, you know, big religion Christian. So, you know, I have him talks, and then I got other
Big
friends.
religion.
Yeah, big Christian. You know what I'm saying? But look, let's get into this song. You know what I mean? I didn't even ask you. Obviously, I'm sure you know the song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is a.
But this is one of my favorites. I got a bunch of them. I got
It's
a whole playlist of gospel stuff that I love. You know what I'm saying? But this right here is Norman Hutchins. God's got a blessing.
God's got a blessing.
In parentheses with my name on
With
it.
that name on it.
Yeah. I mean, first verse he says, "It makes no difference what you're going through. You're gonna make it. God's gonna see you through. Hold your head up. Put a smile on your face. This is another test. It won't last always. So get ready for your blessings."
So
Yeah.
This is one of them ones. This
Facts,
right here.
you know what I mean?
But this song, we feeling good right now.
Yeah, man, I gotta send y'all my playlist. It's fire. You
You
gotta.
should. I got.
man.
You
I was
got
gonna
Apple
say,
Music?
I don't. I'm titled all the way. You know.
Oh no, I got it. That
Okay,
works. That works. I
got
both.
you. But so how do you feel about? I mean, it's weird to ask you how you feel about these things, because obviously this is church stuff already, right?
Nah, because there's some things in the church that just not my vibe.
Okay, it
It's
makes
just
no
like
difference
other music,
what
right?
your
Same
what
type
your,
of.
Yeah.
It makes no
Because
difference.
the song got to be a good song, right? In order, right?
Right.
It can't be like trash, Jesus, trash, Jesus.
Still good song.
And that's why I like this one. Like, honestly, this is like,
this is
you know,
one of
because
them
there's a lot of
ones.
songs, they don't have a lot of words, you know what I mean? It might say the same thing, it's repetitive, same thing over and over. But it makes no difference what you're going through. You're gonna make it. God's going to see you through. How you feel about that?
I agree.
You agree? Simple?
100%.
How you feel about that, Seth?
I think that speaks to the faith, the mustard seed faith. All you gotta do is believe a little bit, and you good. You got
Hold
you.
your head up, put a smile on your face. This is another test. It won't last always. Like, because when I hear it, I'm like I said, I love the song because it makes me, you know, but then again, I know that I'm not doing too bad. I'm never doing too bad. You know what I mean? Times could be a little down, but it's never too bad. So it's a lot easier to be like, yeah, this ain't gonna last. I've been here before. But what about the person that is really down and out and they've been there for a while? It's like, and when does it get better for them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they have to outlast the badness.
Can
Yeah.
one
Go
just
ahead.
quick? So, what you're saying to me shows your faith, because you have been through things. I'm your brother. You've been through things.
Facts.
And the fact that you articulating that, like, I'm good. Like, I've never even be able to do that.
It took me a while to get there. You know what I mean? Like, that's not
But
like
that's
what I'm saying. Like, this place that I'm in with religion and God and all that, like, this is fairly new in my life. Like, maybe 5 years, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Where I became a believer, like, yeah, I'm gonna be all right. You know what I mean? But there's been so many times in the past where it's like, yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? I have no idea. Now it's like, nah, I know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna be okay. You know what I mean? As before, it's like, I don't know if I'm gonna be okay. You know what I'm saying?
Is there a time limit on it though? Like,
Nah, so
how does it?
I don't think there's a time limit. Like, different people have different experiences, and I think this song is just a particular, like, it just hits the hope moments, right? So, like, if you like look in the Bible, right, there's Psalms like, "Why are you downcast, my soul?" Right? Because there are times when you're waiting. In the waiting periods, you feel like, yo, this
Come
is like,
on,
come
son.
on, man, right?
Come
But
on,
when you get to
son.
the other side, you know, you can see in hindsight, but they say hindsight is 20/20, and so this song just tells, like, it gives us something to look up to when we're in it, right? If somebody is, you know, in it and they're feeling it, I think that they should be able to feel it as well. You know, I like this, right?
I love this.
Because it, you know, it that kind of like trouble don't last always is something, especially if you dealt with a lot of trouble.
Get ready for your blessings. Get ready for your miracle. Is there a way to get ready for it? How about that?
So I don't think there's any like one way to get ready for it, because I think, you know, things are different, but you have to be ready, right? It's kind of like y'all are athletes, right? Not specifically basketball players, right? And so
I was good at every sport.
Yeah. But I'm saying like so. But yeah, I know.
Nah, I'm joking.
But like you can't be like a basketball player on a team, especially like organized ball, and like you're like a 2 and you never work on your shot. And then when the person in front of you go out, like that's when you start working on your shot. You need to have your shot tight. You need to be able to like move with the ball. You need to understand the plays.
Ready.
You need to be ready, right?
Yep.
And so I think it's the same way with our blessings. Like sometimes God wants to allow us to receive stuff or give us stuff directly, and we don't get it because we would fumble it, right? Like I know people are like, yeah, man, I want to be married to this and that. Like, but look what you're doing now. Or, you know, I would love to have $1 million, but right now you're really struggling holding on to that, you know, what you have or whatever. And so, so I think that, you know, like I can't say how do you prepare without having an example, but being prepared, I think is
it makes me think of Any Given Sunday with Willie Beeman. You know what I'm saying? Like if you remember, he was like the 3rd string quarterback, but he was still good. Like I think he like threw up before he went in, but he went in and got busy.
There you go.
Changed his life because he obviously been working hard. But I think even in those situations, it's a little bit different, right? Because you're saying working on your shot. I think obviously you don't have to as a professional athlete, but there is a certain shape I think most professional athletes gotta be in. Right?
You should be.
Right, like I think it's hard for you, like you can't just miss practice. Like even if you're a bench player, like you gonna probably feel it.
Talk to AI.
But that's what I'm saying. He was the star.
DC.
And
a lot of niggas don't like no practice.
that's what I'm saying. But they were stars and great, so they didn't have to get ready. That's what I'm saying. It's the bench guys who have to be ready.
I push back against that, right?
Okay.
I seen recently a conversation that Shaq had in Barkley, you know, on this show or whatever. And one of them, somebody had asked Shaq, like, Shaq, how good would you have been if you would have prepared like Kobe? He didn't have to because he was 300 pounds, so dominant. But how much more ready would he have been, right? So you can even like.
I mean, AI said the same.
I was going to say that. I was going to say that. I was going to say that.
He literally was saying that.
He said we was in the club.
Facts. He
Kobe
said there's a level like Kobe was at that me or nobody will ever be able to reach because of the effort and preparation that he put into it. You know what I mean? But I still think that goes like to get ready for something, because I guess you would say they weren't ready, like because AI never won a championship. So
nah, but that depends on what parameters you're putting on describing greatness. Because if you ask people, I go by the eye test. If you ask people about the greatest basketball players of all time, they're gonna say AI is one of them guys. They're gonna say him, regardless championship, no championship. Same thing with Charles Barkley. If you're talking about big man Patrick Ewing never won it, like you're gonna say certain people. These are the greatest people. Win or no win. So I think that you got to be prepared. Same thing for
And that's what I'm
blessing.
saying, because, you know, as he's bringing up Shaq, it's like, Shaq won championships, you know what I mean? Like, what wasn't he prepared for? Even though he didn't do the extra work, he was always ready to.
Yeah, but he didn't win all. Like, so if you look at, like, Jordan, right? Because he's the guy that they compare everything to, because he was undefeated in the finals. Shaq's not undefeated in the finals. Kobe ain't undefeated in the finals. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a level. There's another level.
If you're talking about, and that's where it becomes a little strange, because Kobe clearly was ready. If they saying get ready, he's ready.
But there's levels. So Kobe was ready, so he maximized whatever he had. Shaq is saying that if he was ready like Kobe, Shaq is saying the accolades that he got, he didn't even maximize what he had. That's what he's saying, I think.
So I think also, like with the get ready, there are some times that God just does stuff that just blows our mind, right? Like that you can't get ready for.
Those are the miracles.
Right? And But even that, you have to kind of be in the space to be like,
to receive, yeah.
okay, like God did this,
Yeah.
right? Because like most people, like statistically, a large amount of people don't meet God in church, right? Like it's like, you know, car accident, funeral, throwing up at the bottom of the toilet. Like God, please. And when God is like here, you can change. Like you got to be ready to like step in,
Right.
to lean in.
I seen people be on some why me and fuck they blessing up because they not, you know what I'm saying? Why me? How come they think something is funny about it, or you know what I'm saying? Like this ain't supposed, and then they'll miss out on something because they're not ready to just receive your blessing.
So second verse, he says, I know you've been hurting deep down inside. Let me encourage you. It's gonna be all right. Troubles and trials come to make you strong. Keep on believing. You keep holding on. So get ready.
He got it, yep.
Yeah, man. Like this is really one of my joints.
God bless it.
Yeah, I mean, and just when I read that, it's so hard, I think, for a lot of people to keep the faith. You know what I mean? You hear it all the time, like the people that go against churches and stuff, like, oh, if there's a God, why are babies dying? And they say all of these crazy things. It's like, how I'm supposed to keep faith when my daughter died, or this happened to this person. So, it's definitely a song where either you feel it or you really probably can't feel it.
So it's interesting because I actually don't think that none of that stuff is crazy. I think that some people who say stuff like that, they already don't want to rock with the church or with God, and they just find something out about it, right? It's like, I'm going to say this, people are going to be mad at me, they're going to be mad at y'all, right? But it's
Mad at us, we ain't saying
like
nothing.
sometimes when a person goes in your phone, right? They're going in your phone because they have the like proclivity to search through your stuff.
Ulterior motive.
Right? They want to be like, oh, you did this and that, but you know what I'm saying? And so sometimes people are like, I just don't want to go to church. Let me find, church is super flawed, so let me just find one and say, no. I think that like the biggest thing with like faith is, like the scripture says faith is like the evidence of things unseen, right? The substance of things hoped for, kind of reverse. But like if there's no risk, if you know everything how it's going to turn out, then it doesn't require faith. Right? So like the belief, like you keep believing, even if it's like you were saying, a mustard seed, we can't explain it, right? It's crazy. Every religion is crazy. Like the things you believe, this man was born out of virgin, he died. It's crazy. But I believe, anyway.
I know we running out of
Usually-
time. I wanted to say
usually-
one thing about that.
I just want, I'll let you get into that real
Yeah,
quick. But, so then it goes into God's got a blessing with your name on it. Do you agree that God has a blessing with everyone's name on it?
You got to receive your blessing.
I do. And I think that I'm going to try to get mine. And communal too. I think communal blessings, I try not to use up the time. Go ahead.
I think that it's just too much.
I
It's
was
too much
just
to
gonna
talk
say,
about where it's like,
because it's so many things that I still
so
have to
much.
say.
You're talking about the communal blessings, like with us as a people,
Yeah.
we be blocking each other's blessings. There's so much, like, we not used to winning. So when somebody wins, they think something is wrong, and then we cause issues and problems. And let's win.
you
Why
block
we can't just
others'
all
blessings,
win and block your
and then you
own
block
blessing
your own blessings
in the process?
Yeah.
Why we can't all win? Like, it's so much. But this is it's a great song. I think it's a great thinking piece that everybody need to get ready for your blessing, man. Get ready for it, because you're not gonna be able to receive it unless you're ready to receive it. You deserve it. Like,
I think that the empowering part about like having your name on it is because sometimes people feel like all of this stuff is happening all around me. Like, when do I get
what
mine?
about me? I
Right?
felt like that.
And it's like God
felt
doesn't
like that.
forget you, right?
Right.
Like you might not get the same thing that somebody else has,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a blessing of some kind for you. right?
And that,
The congregation say amen.
yes, sir.
So before we go, I always ask, what is your favorite part of this song?
Oh, the
Yeah, Norman Hutchins, God's Got a Blessing.
The-
I mean, it feels like it's with your name on it. The way you just broke that down, that
my
felt
joint.
like, you know what I mean?
so let me tell you, it's the end part, the God's got a blessing,
That's my part.
but it's in a live church. When they cut the
God's got a
organ, but the
blessing.
drum keeps going and the people are clapping and the
Yeah.
repetition.
Yeah.
Cause that's like I can kind of meditate on like kind of like what God has done in the past
Yeah.
and kind of like believe what God could do in the future.
Facts.
And in that very moment, like, okay, if God did it here, it could happen in the future. I'm gonna be grateful in the present, right?
That's where
so
the
that
faith-
is that part, the end part of the song.
And you, Seth?
That's mine.
Same
That God's
thing.
got a blessing. God got a blessing. God got
Yeah.
with your name on
Yeah,
it.
it's
With your name on it.
Oh,
with your
man.
name. That's my shit.
This is
right there.
another test. It won't last always. That bar right there is my joint. You know what I mean? Because I've come to a place where it's like, it's up to you if you want something to be positive or negative. You know what I mean? You can look at the good in everything, or you can look at the bad in everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's on you, whether you're going to say, this was another test, or I learned from it. That's good. I learned this, so now I can move forward knowing that. Or you could say, man, why does this happen to me all the time? Everybody
That's
hates me.
young-minded. When I was younger, I used to feel like, oh, it's a cloud over me. Every time I do something, it's not necessarily, it's your perspective.
Right, so that's my favorite part. And obviously, this is another episode of Verse for Verse. We need more time to talk to the Rev. You know what I mean? You got to come back next
Yes,
week,
sir.
and we got to continue. James Rich will be here.
I'll be
And
back.
you know what I'm saying? For sure, man, because there's so much more to this. I didn't realize it was going to be this crazy, honestly. But so shout out to Big U, obviously. Rev, tell them where they can find you. You know what I'm saying?
That's More Thoughts, MOORED, thoughts at everything.
And Norman Hutchins, God's Got a Blessing. What's your name?
What's
on
your
it?
name on it?
Get ready for your blessing. Get ready
Receive
for
that
your
blessing.
miracle.
Be ready.
We'll see y'all next week. Like, share, comment, subscribe.
All that.
We out of here. It's me.
Handsome.
Handsome. Yeah, man. It's so much stuff. I didn't even...
These biting my style, I hope they got dental plans. So get it straight from the source and cut out the middleman. Get that pure dough. Get that pure dough. Go get it straight from the source and cut out the middleman. Then you get that pure dough.